conference call for this mid-morning session. Let us move to our next part of the session. Today's topic is going to be on Madhuri Akandamani, session 8, which will be given by Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Mataji. May I know who will have joined this morning?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all their summer devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving a beautiful association. All glories to your seva. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada. This was Preeti Vilasini Devi Dasi from Atlanta. Thank you, Mataji, for your warm welcoming, and thank you, Sumi Mataji, for the beautiful chanting today.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving a beautiful association. All glories to your services. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandot pranams to all the devotees here. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Sumi from Chennai, India.
Hare Krishna, Sumi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving a beautiful association and for the beautiful Bhagavad Gita recitation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Danat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasi from College Station, Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you for joining and giving a beautiful association this morning. Hare Krishna, all glories to your services. Hare Bol. Is there anybody else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandot pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving a beautiful association. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Just a minute, Mataji, I'm just trying to start recording.
Sure, Mataji, take your time.
Yes, we are ready.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Once again, I welcome you all for joining this mid-morning session. I would like to start by sharing a quote by Srila Prabhupada ji. We can ask favor from anyone, but we must know that nobody can favor us unless sanctioned by the Supreme Person. Suppose we approach a rich man to favor us with some contribution. Krishna is there within, and if he says, you can give him this money, the man will give us. If he is not so fortunate, and therefore Krishna did not dictate him, so there is nothing to be sorry. This should be our principle. Mayapur, March 22nd, 1976. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Good morning, dear devotees. I welcome you all to Bhakti Sanga Japa Conference call for this mid-morning session. Today we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Mataji. Mataji will be enlightening us on the topic of Madhuri Akandamani, session 8. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Kirtida Sundari Mataji, thank you for giving your valuable time and association this morning. Waiting eagerly to hear from you, Mataji. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. I hand over the call to you, Mataji. Please take over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji. Thank you so much for your very, very warm welcoming, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please accept my most humble obeisances at your lotus feet. And glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we will start our session of Madhuri Academy. Today is session 8. And before that, we will chant auspicious mantras. We will chant Mangalacharna and then we'll move forward. Om Ajnanaatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shirade Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchatattvatakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavtaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripas Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Guruve Gaura Chandrai, Radhikaye Tadalay, Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaye, Tadbhaktaye Namo Namaha. Ananda Leela Maya Vigrahaya, Hema Bhadevya Chavi Sundaraya, Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Mukam karoti vācālam pangvam langāyate girim yat kripaha tamaham vande Shri Guru Dīnatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. Ridvaprenava bhaktishasya vitate sanjīvani swagama Rambe kamatapartudahadamani Vishvapagolasini Duranme marushakino pisarasi Bhavaya bhuyat prabhu Shri Chaitanya Kripanirakusha Madhurya Kadambini. Anyone wants to recite this Mangalacharna?
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I try?
Yeah, go ahead, Anitha.
I think Preeti Mataji was unmuted. Mataji, if you want to go ahead,
That's
please.
okay, Anitha Mataji, you can do. Last time she did.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Ritva prenava bhakti shashya vitate shasjivani swagama Rambhe kamata taparto dahadhamani Vishwapagola lasini Dhuran me marushakinophi sarasi Bhavaya bhuyat prabhu Shri Chaitanya Kripa Nirankusha Maha Madhurya Kadambini. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Anitha Mataji. Thank you, everyone, for your wonderful and kind association. Really grateful and indebted to each and every one of you. Your presence is my enthusiasm to study this Madhurya Kadambini. So thank you so much. Please bless me, offer heartfelt prayers, blessings, so that I can speak relevant to this subject matter, which is really a very, very confidential subject matter. It's very hard to understand, hard to explain, and much more harder to imbibe in our own lives. So I really request each and every one of you to please bless me so that while studying this scripture, whatever we are studying, we all may imbibe also in our lives, including my own self. Especially I'll talk about myself. So, Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. So by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Nirankusha Kripa, we have completed 2 showers of Chaitanya, of this Madhuri Akandamani. And now we are in the 3rd shower. The 3rd shower of nectar. So in the first 2 showers, the first shower which was the preeminence of bhakti, where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur establishes that how bhakti is self-illuminating, self-manifesting, and is totally independent. There is no cause. Bhakti is the cause of bhakti. And in the second shower, he delineated the position of having Shraddha. And we discussed in great length that Shraddha is not the initial Shraddha that a sadhaka has, but this Shraddha is having faith in the Shastras, in the Vani of spiritual masters. And then how Shraddha leads to Sadhu Sanga, and finally it leads to Bhajana Kriya. But then we saw that in Bhajan Kriya also there is Nishtita Bhajan Kriya and Anishtita Bhajan Kriya. But the point is that we have to come to the level of having Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. So after describing these 3 steps, now the 4th step of Rupa Goswami's celebrated words on which this entire Madhuri Akandamani is being written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The 4th step is Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sanga, Bhajana Kriya, and then comes Anarha nivritti, that is elimination of all impediments to bhakti. So we will describe this as per what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions. Anarha nivritti. So what is anartha? Something which is of value is known as artha, right? Like we have the 4 purusharthas, that is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So for materialistic people, anything that they consider worldly wealth, money, it is very useful. So therefore, this is known as artha. And these people, they long for it. And that is why it is known as one of the purushartha. Okay? But something which is of no value, especially for devotees, all these material possessions have no value in comparison to Krishna Bhakti. So anything which doesn't have any value is known as anartha. Now, the devotees, they don't want anything that obstructs them in Krishna Bhakti. So money definitely is not the thing that obstructs one in Krishna Bhakti unless and until it is used for sense gratification. If that same amount of wealth is used in Krishna service, then that doesn't become an anartha. It is artha only, but it is used in Krishna service. Now, something which becomes an obstacle in attaining the paramarth, in attaining the spiritual realization, in attaining the spiritual understanding, that is known as anartha. Like we have the 6 vices that are sitting in the heart, that is kama, krodha, lobha, moh, mad, matsarya, lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, enviousness. All these are the anarthas because they act as an impediment or you can say an obstacle for attaining the paramarth, for the attaining of spiritual realization. So they are known as anarthas. Now, why these anarthas come? What is the reason that these anarthas, they are there in the heart of a sadhaka, which acts as an impediment? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in this regard describes that there are 4 kinds of anarthas. So the 4 types of anarthas, and then he gives the description of them. So the very first type of anartha he mentions is dushkrito anarthas. What is dushkritata anarthas? It is also known as dushkriti jata anarthas. Any anartha which is arising due to our past sinful activities. Like we have read about the kleshas, right? So there are 5 types of kleshas. That is avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinesha. That is ignorance, false egoism. Raga is attachment, dvesha is aversion or hatred, and abhinvesha is the material absorption. So all that arises out of our sinful reactions that we have done in our previous lives under the influence of avidya, under the influence of ignorance, or under the influence of false ego, of I and mine. Sorry, there was some random code. So that gives a rise to dushkrito anarthas. Why? Because when we perform any sinful activities under the ignorance or under the asmita or under the rag, attachment, or under false ego, if we have those desires, then what will happen? It will create a strong samskara. It will create a strong impression. And that impression will be seated in the heart of a jiva, because we are eternally conditioned. So it will be seated in our heart. And then these samskaras will create distraction when we come on to the level of, when we come on to the path of bhakti, when we are doing our shravanam, when we are doing our kirtanam, when we are doing our smaranam, these samskaras, they create distractions in our mind. And because of which our devotional activities are not performed in a proper way. So they are known as dushkrito anartham. Okay, dushkriti jata anarthas, anarthas that have arisen, that arises from past sinful activities. That is known as dushkrito anarthas. Now the second is sukrito anarthas. Sukriti also leads to anarthas. Sukriti means doing some pious activities. If we have some desire for happiness in this temporary world, and if we have a desire to enjoy in the heavenly planets, then they are the result of our performing some piety. Only then we will be entitled to enjoy in the heavenly planets. Or we have some selfish motivations, or we have some satkarma, some sakam, that is known as sakam bhaktas in our past lives. So that also leads to dushkrito anarthas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes what to talk about having some material desires like bhukti kamis, even those who have the desire of liberation, desire for mukti, they also fall under this category of sukrito anarthas. Why? Because the 2 witches, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Rupa Goswami actually says that bhukti and mukti are just like 2 witches. And they exist in the heart of a person. If bhukti and mukti is there, the desire for bhukti and mukti is there in the heart, how can we enjoy the transcendental love? How we can enjoy the transcendental bliss of devotional service? So we cannot enjoy. So therefore, we are not able to relish the smell of bhakti as long as there is some desire in the heart. And that can be a desire of attaining heavenly planet or enjoying heavenly planet or higher planets, or that can be desire of attaining liberation. All these desires, they are atoned because of our previous pious lives. We have lived a life of piety, and that will also lead to the impediment in performing our spiritual and realization. That is what is known as sukritata anartha. Sukriti jata anarthas. This is known as sukrito jata anarthas. So therefore, time and again, in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says that don't get attached to even the pious activities, because to have the result of that pious activities, we again have to come back. And if they leave any impression, they will also act as an impediment in our life of spiritual advancement. So therefore, what we have to do is neither think of any sinful activities or pious activities, but all the activities should be dedicated to Krishna. Therefore, even Krishna said to Arjuna, Mam anusmarana yuddhacha, fight, but remember me. Dedicate this fight also to me. So whatever activity we do, we should do it for the pleasure of Krishna and dedicate that activity to Krishna. Then that activity will not be a pious activity or a sinful activity, then that activity becomes a karma. It becomes the activity which is dedicated to the Supreme Lord. So these are the main two types that is being mentioned, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur doesn't deal much about it. He just mentions in this a few lines about these two types. Then comes the third type, to which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur deals into a great detail, and that is aparadhotanarthas, aparadas, that are obstacles arise due to offenses. Now, this is a great offense. This is a great anartha that we all have to get rid of. And this is the main anartha which acts as an impediment in our spiritual life. So in this regard, first of all, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the difference between pap and aparad, between the sin and offense. What is a sin and what is an offense? Okay, he gives this reason. Because he says that when somebody commits a sin, then just by some abhas of naam or abhas or a shadow of one's bhajan, heaps of sins are destroyed. Just like there is a heap of cotton and one spark of fire can destroy that heaps of cotton. Similarly, one abhas, he is not talking even of the Shuddha Naam, but one Naam abhas or one Bhajan abhas can destroy the heaps of sins. But it's the aparad which leads the bhakti creeper to be finished. It's because of this aparad. So first of all, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the differences between what is pap and what is aparad, what is a sin and what is an offense. So he says activities done by the body, words, and mind under the influence of false ego, of bodily consciousness, considering the body to be the self for enjoying the material senses are known as sins. So he describes that anything which is done by the body, words, and mind under the influence of false ego for one's sense gratification is known as sin, for enjoying material senses. So sins are basically related to the material body, not for the spirit soul. And therefore, their effects are only on this temporary body and mind. And because of which, one namabhas or one bhajanabhas, we perform any devotional service, heaps of sins are destroyed. But offense is much graver than sin. Then he says, Shri Krishna, his devotee, his holy name, and his dham, that is spiritual abode, they are all eternal and transcendental. Any kind of disrespect, another, or negligence, ignorance to any of these means to Shri Krishna, to his devotees, to his holy name, to his dham, considering them material, considering them to be an ordinary, is actually known as aparad. And it results either in the disappearance of bhakti or the drying up of the root of bhakti. So if somebody is committing a sin, one bhajanabhas, one namabhas is potent enough to destroy the heaps of sins one may have accumulated for past so many lives. But if somebody is committing an aparad, then that will result in the disappearance of bhakti altogether, or it will result in drying up to the root of bhakti. That is the result of committing an aparad. Aparad, apa means deviating ourselves from Radh. Radh means attachment to Krishna. Performing some bhajan for Krishna. We get deviated from performing this bhajan to Krishna, and that is what is known as aparad. So aparadota anarthas refer to only nam aparad, because, and not to any other aparadhas such as seva aparad. So we know that there are so many seva aparad. We have a seva aparad, we have a vigraha aparad, we have a dham aparad. We have so many aparadhas. But when Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying aparadhuta anarthas, the anarthas that arise because of the aparad, he means to say nam aparad. Reason being, because all other aparadhas can be eliminated by chanting the holy name. All other aparadhas. Even if somebody is committing dham aparad, vigraha aparad, seva aparad, because somebody is chanting nama, is chanting Krishna's name, all these results of all these aparadhas are mitigated. But there is a catch. If somebody is performing any dham aparad, seva aparad, and thinking at the same time that because the Shastra says that Nam can eliminate all these aparadhas, so I'm committing it, and then I will chant Krishna's name, and finally all my aparadhas will be mitigated. This thought process is leading to Nam aparad, because that is what the seventh offense is, chanting on the strength, or committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. When we commit the sinful activities, when we commit sin offense, but on the other hand, or the back of the mind, we have this idea, okay, I will chant Krishna's name and all the reactions will be mitigated, then that becomes a namaparad. So therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that I'm not dealing with any kind of aparadhas, but aparadota anarthas refers only to nam aparad, not to other aparadhas such as seva aparad, dham aparad, or any other aparadhas. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions, but we are not going to mention because it will take proper another session in discussing what are the seva aparadhas. So in just one line in this PPT, I have mentioned that there are 64 seva aparadhas collectively mentioned in Padma Puran, in Varha Puran, in Hari Bhakti Vilas, and other scriptures. Even Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu mentions this 32 types of seva aparadhas. So definitely we are not going to deal into it. We'll not go in detail about what are those seva aparadhas. In Padma Puran also there is a mention of 32 kind of seva aparadhas. I give you the few examples like entering the temple with shoes, not offering obeisances on seeing the deities, or praying to the Lord without washing your mouth, or praying to the Lord in an unclean state, or eating in front of deities, speaking loudly in front of the deities, or speaking lies in front of the deities, or offering obeisances with one hand, or eating things which are not offered to the deities. These are kind of some seva aparadhas. But he says that intelligent person, he knows that seva aparadhas are not cautiously to be committed on the strength of chanting the holy name. Because the moment we become careless to these seva aparadhas knowingly and thinking that on the strength of the holy name and recitation of some prayers, all the seva aparadhas will be nullified, then those seva aparadhas are converted into nama aparadha. So therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that aparadha anarthas refer only to nama aparadha. It means that offense committed towards the holy name and not to any aparadhas such as seva aparadha. That is performing on the strength of the holy name is nama aparadha. Now, the fourth type of anartha is bhakti utta, which we will discuss later, probably in the future some sessions. I don't know how much time will it take, but because what important point we have to understand is the Nama Parad, because this is the one that brings the greatest obstacle for our advancement in spiritual life. So we will spend some good time on these Nama Paradas. Though we all have by hearted, I know every day in the morning also we chant those 10 offenses against the holy name to avoid those offenses. But still we will go in great detail and see what are these Nama Paradas are and how we can rectify ourselves from these Nama Paradas. Anitha Ramya Mataji, you raised your hand.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So can I ask a doubt here, Mataji? Or
Yeah,
at the
go ahead.
last? Okay. So in the second one, Sukrutota Anarthas, it said as action Satkarma or Sakama. What is that, Mataji?
Satkarma means doing pious activities in our previous life, like charity, donations, opening of some philanthropic work. And Sakama means having the desire, any kamna we have, either of bhukti or even of mukti. So together they come to this level of Sukrata Anarthas. Because all these things leave an impression in our heart, and we will be doing it not for Krishna, but for our pleasure or for our name or our fame. So
doing all these good things also, or desiring to do good things which you have given here, to go to temporarily to heavenly planets, that is known as, it is a good activity, but still it is an anartha, like that?
Yes, it's a good activity if it is done for our own name and fame. If it is done totally for the pleasure of Krishna, then it doesn't become any good or bad activity. Then it's a Krishna conscious activity.
Okay.
So these are the 4 types of anarthas. So this Bhakti Uttha anartha we will discuss later. So we will first go deep into these Nama Paradas. That what are those Nama Paradas? So we all know that Padma Puran describes these Nama Paradas. But before that, we will see this Aparadhota anarthas, that why these anarthas, they uproot this bhakti. In the previous slide, we have seen that it results either in the disappearance of bhakti or the drying up of the root of bhakti. So this is very important, because when we commit an aparadh, then the bhakti lata beach that is there, either it will be uprooted in the beach form, or it will be uprooted when the first 2 leaves comes, or it can be dried up if it has gone to an extensive growth. After that also it can dry up. You must have seen materially an example when you pluck the tree from the ground, or you pluck a plant from the ground. So when you uproot that plant from the ground, immediately the leaves doesn't dry up. Okay? Immediately the leaves doesn't dry up. It takes few moments, it takes few days maybe for the leaves to get dry up. So therefore, this aparadh is so subtle that if we commit this aparadh, immediately we may not get the reaction to it. But slowly and slowly, if we have committed an aparadh, then slowly or gradually, the leaves will dry up. And therefore, our Bhakti Lata creeper will be finished. So this thing is very important to know, that immediately the results may not be shown, but slowly and gradually, if any aparadh is done, then our bhakti will diminish. Our bhakti creeper will get dried up. So in this regard, I was talking about this aparadha anarthas, and there is a beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we'll discuss this. It is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. Eka Krishna naam kare sarva papa nash, Premera karana bhakti karena prakash. As we discussed, that one nama bhas, one bhajana bhas, one name of Krishna is potent enough to destroy sarva papanash, to destroy all sinful activities. And after destroying, what happens? This name is potent enough to give prema. it becomes the cause, it becomes a karana to give prema. Bhakti karina prakash. And finally, bhakti gets illuminated in the heart of a devotee. One Krishna Nam. Premera uday haya, premera vikar, sweda kampa phula kadi, ghakada shrudhar. Then what happens once the prema, once this bhakti prakash happens, immediately prema uday. Prem also comes. Prema, and there is a premera vikar. Some transformations also take place. What transformations? Shveda, perspirations, kampa, trembling, pulakadi, gadgada. We feel some transformations in our life, like hair standing from on our body, or tears coming out from our eyes. All these are the transformations of that happens when bhakti gets illuminated in the heart of a devotee. Anyaya se bhavashaya Krishne rase vana eka Krishna namera phale paita dhana. Only one Krishna name can give this fruit of having these transformations in our body. When we perform only Krishna bhajan, anya se bhavashaya Krishne rasa sevana. When we perform only Krishna conscious activities, or we perform service only to Lord Shri Krishna, then this one name of Krishna's result is that we get this eternal wealth of Krishna Prem. Then he says, Hena Krishna Nam Yadi Laya Bahubara Tabu Yadi Prema Nahi Nahi Ashrudhara. But if somebody is chanting Krishna's name regular basis, and many times, still that prema is not awakened, and there is no tears flowing in our eyes, then tabe jani aparada tahita prachur Krishna nama bija tahe na kare ankur. That means that some aparad has been committed. If we are not feeling bliss in chanting Krishna's name, then Mahaprabhu is saying that some aparade tahita prachur, some grievous offense has happened, and Krishna Nama bija, and therefore that seed of Krishna Nam has not yet sprouted. So it's the aparad that majority time deals and acts as an impediment in our Krishna bhajan, in our spiritual advancement. Simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offenses vanquish all sinful activities. Thus, pure devotional service, which is the cause of love of Godhead, becomes manifest. And when one's transcendental loving service to the Lord is actually awakened, it generates transformations in the body, like perspiration, trembling, throbbing of the heart, fluttering of the voice, and tears in the eyes. As a result of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one makes great spiritual advancement in spiritual life, that simultaneously his material existence terminates and he receives love of Godhead. The holy name of Krishna is so powerful that by chanting even one name, one will easily achieve this transcendental riches. Eka Krishna namera phale eta dhan. This dhan, this transcendental rich can be achieved by one Krishna name. However, if one chants this exalted holy name of the Lord again and again, Bahubar, and yet his love for the Lord has not developed and tears do not appear in his eyes, it is evident that because of his offenses in chanting, the seeds of the holy name of Krishna does not sprout. So it's the main namaprad that leads a great impediment in our spiritual advancement. So we all know these namaprads. But before that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur just in one line mentions the 9 types of sins. I will also not go into great detail because he just mentions that there are 9 types of sins. He doesn't mention in great detail what are those sins and what type are they. He doesn't mention much about it. In one line, he just finishes off. But I have taken this from Manusmriti, as well as from the purport of one of the verse in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and that purport is written by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Swami Srila Prabhupada. So he has explained in great detail about the 9 types of pap. But because this is not the subject matter of Madhuri Akandamani, so I have taken just a few sentences with the help of Vishwanath, with the help of Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur's commentary, and just mentioned their names. So if somebody wants to study in detail, they can refer to Chaitanya Bhagavat, which we will be reading in our Chaitanya Bhagavat sessions eventually. But if somebody wants to go through, they can go through. Anitha Mataji, we can take the questions at the last if you don't mind, because with the question, answering that question really distracts my mind and I'm not able to focus. So let me just...
Mataji, by mistake, sorry.
Okay, sorry, Mataji, that's okay. So the 9 types of sins that Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur mentions, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur doesn't mention in great detail, but Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur mentions. So he says that the first type of sin is atipataka, a very heinous sin. And that is having sex with one's mother, having sex with one's daughter, and having sex with wife of one's son. Then comes mahapataka. Okay, this also implies one's father, having sex with one's son, means from the female version also this applies. It doesn't only with the men version, but for the female also it applies the same, means the opposite gender. Then comes the mahapataka. This is a crime of the highest degree. 5 great sins are being mentioned. Now this is from Manusmriti. Brahmahatya, Surapana, Suvarna, Steha, Gurutal Pagamana, and Tatatsmarga. That means killing a Brahmana, stealing gold, drinking wine, spirits, that is Surapan, adultery with the wife of a spiritual master, or incest with one's mother. Associating with a person who has committed any of the 4 is also considered to be mahapataka. Though even if somebody is not committing these offenses, but is associating with the person who is committing all those offenses, also comes into the category of mahapataka. Third is anupataka, that is a heinous crime such as theft, falsehood, fraud, murder, adultery, etc. So Anupataka goes in great detail, but the base is the 5 Mahapataka crimes. These 5 Mahapataka crimes committed, there are great detail that Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur mentions. And that also leads to this Anupataka. Then Upapataka, that is a crime in the 2nd or the 3rd degree, like eating prohibited foods like garlic, stealing valuables other than gold, neglecting the repayment of one's debts to the demigods, sages, forefathers, etc., discussing unauthorized scriptures, stealing paddy, metals like iron and copper, or animals, having sex with a drunken woman, killing a woman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, killing a cow, selling a daughter, atheism. All these categories fall under Upapataka. Atipataka, Mahapataka, Anupataka, and Upapataka. Then comes Sankari Gana Karana. Sankari Gana Karana is also one of the sin. Sankari means a girl who has recently been deflowered, basically who lost her virginity. And also means domestic or wild animals. So the sin of killing domestic or wild animals, or killing a newly non-virgin or newly married girl, or raping such girls, comes under this category of Sankari Gana Karana. Then Apatri Karana, doing degraded or unworthy acts, disqualification, any action which makes a man unworthy. And for Brahmana, it is being mentioned in Manusmriti, the 4 disqualifications for Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. But I've just mentioned about the Brahmanas. That means accepting wealth from the condemned person, earns one's livelihood through trade or lending money in interest, or speaking lies, or serving a Shudra. Then Jati Brahma Samskar, causing loss or caste or disgrace, using a stick or any other instrument to injure a Brahmana, smelling objects like garlic, stool, or wine, becoming crooked, having sex with an animal, and engaging in homosexual relationships is also one of the sin that falls under this category of Jati Brahmasaka. Then comes the Malavaha, causing dirt, dirtying, soiling, and disgracing. That means killing a bird, killing animals that move in water, killing fish or other animals that are born in water, killing worms or insects, eating foods that have been touched by wine. All this fall under the category of Malavaha. Then comes Prakirna, those sinful activities that have not been described above, but are in the category of Papa, are known as Prakirnika. Now, don't ask me about much detail because we will not go into all this. But Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda, chapter 13, verse 54, purport, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur has given extensive details about these 9 types of sins. So you can read all those that fall under this category. And then also these some verses have been taken from Manusmriti, that is Manusmriti chapter 11. So if you want more details about these types of sins, we can refer to these 2 things and then you can get. But because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhuri Akandamani doesn't go into all this, so we will also follow his footsteps and we will not discuss much in great detail. Now comes our aparadha part. So we all know Namaparad. We all know the 10 types of Namaparad that is being mentioned in Padma Puran. We all must have by-hearted by now the 10 Namaparadas. And we will go one by one into these Namaparadas, and then we will see how they become an impediment and how the rectification can be done. So, but these Namaparadas we know in English. So we will now recite in Sanskrit also. And this has been mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas in the 11th Vilas. In the 11th Vilas, Sanatan Goswami, he compiled these 10 offenses. But actually these 10 offenses originally were spoken by Sanat Kumar to Narad Muni, and that is being mentioned in Padma Puran. So what we read every day is those 10 offenses that Prabhupada has very kindly made the Sanskrit into English. He has translated these 10 aparadhas into English, and that's what we read. So we will read this 10 offenses in Sanskrit also, and if possible, we all can memorize these 10 offenses in Sanskrit too, which is really good. Satam nindanamna paramam aparadam vitanute yata. It's not like this. I'm sorry. I'm committing. It's like Krishna ki satam nindanamna paramam aparadam vitanute yata kyatim yatam kathamu sahate tadvigaraham Shivasya Shri Vishnurya iha guna namadi sakalam Dhiya bhinnam pashet sakhalu hari nami takara Guru avagya shruti shastra nindanam tathartvado harinam nikalpamam namno baladyasya hi papa buddhir na vidyate tasya yamirna shuddhi dharma vrata tyaga hutadi sarva shubha kriya shamamapi samyam api pramada ashradhane vimukta prashnavati yachopadesha shivanam aparadha Shruti namni mahatmyam ya priti rahito nara aham mamadi paramo namni so apya pradakrit. So this is the 10 offenses that is being mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas in the 11th Vilas, and this is in Sanskrit, but don't worry, one by one we will also try to understand the Sanskrit along with English translation given by Srila Prabhupada. So the first offense, the first Namaparad is Satam ninda namna paramam aparadham vitanute. Yata kyatim yatam katham usahate tad vigharanam. So first is Satam Ninda Namana. That means to blaspheme the devotees is Paramam Aparad, is the first aparad, and it's the greatest of aparad. Paramam Aparad, it has been mentioned that this Satam Ninda, criticizing or blaspheming the Vaishnava or a devotee, is considered to be the Param Aparad. Now, why it is known as the Param Aparad? The answer is in the second line. Yata khyatim yatam kathamu sahate tadvigaranam. Because it is by that devotees or by Vaishnavas only that the holy name is being propagated in the entire world. So therefore, criticizing those Vaishnavas who are the cause of distributing the holy name to the entire world, if somebody blaspheme or criticize that Vaishnava, then definitely that becomes an aparad. It becomes a namaparad. Satam ninda namna paramam aparadam. This is the greatest of all the offenses. So therefore, here it is being mentioned about this namaparad by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that this is the grievous of all the 10 offenses that he mentions. Now, let's see what he says much more about it. So let me also refer to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary where he mentions about this Namaparad. Yeah, so Satam Ninda, he says. So he discusses about this first Namaparad, that is criticizing a sadhu or criticizing a Vaishnava. Now, what is this says? Satam Ninda. So we will come to this Satam later, but let's first understand this word Ninda. What is Ninda? Where Prabhupada says to blaspheme. He says Ninda to be blasphemed, and Satam means to devotees. So we will see later who is Satam, but right now we'll focus on this word Ninda. We have known that this Satam Ninda Namna is the Paramapara. It is the grievous of all the offenses. So what is Ninda? Nindanam dosha kirtanam. Whether the criticism is based on fact or not, the vocalization of a saintly person's faults is nonetheless counted as Ninda, or as Prabhupada translate as blasphemy. Now someone can say that, okay, that particular devotee has committed a forbidden act. Okay. So when we are talking about that devotee has done a very forbidden act. So we are simply stating the facts. So where comes the offensive nature in it? Because that devotee has committed a wrongdoing or has committed an abominable or a forbidden act, and we are just stating the facts. We are just stating the actual fact that has happened. So simply stating that fact, how can it becomes an offensive nature, or how can it becomes an aparad? So therefore he says, whether the criticism is based on fact or not, or it's just a hearsay, the vocalization of that devotee or a saintly person's faults is counted as ninda, is counted as blasphemy. So one must rectify to that guilt, to that aparad that one has committed. Okay. Now someone can say, okay, the word says Satam Ninda Namana. So that means, okay, Ninda nahi karni. We will not blaspheme or we will not talk about that devotee. But how about harming that devotee? How about killing that devotee? How about doing any other activity that may give some problem to that devotee? We are not doing any Ninda. We are not criticizing the devotee, but we are doing something else. To this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Tatra nindati anena dvesha drohadyo api upalakshayante. So what he says that there is when he says the word ninda, satam ninda, this ninda is also an upalakshan. Now, what is upalakshan? Upalakshan means, the example is being given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur himself, where he says that if a mother is going out of a home and she tells to her small child that please, I have settled the yogurt. I have settled the yogurt and it is kept on the window. Can you make sure that the yogurt is protected by the crows? That the crows don't come and feed on that yogurt or spoil that yogurt. Can you please make sure? And the child says yes. And then the mother comes back. Then mother sees that the whole yogurt is spoiled and it is spilled over at every place. And she asks the child, see, I told you to protect the yogurt. Why didn't you do it? He said, you told me to protect the yogurt from crows. But unfortunately, cat came and spoiled the yogurt. Now, here this upalakshan word is used because when the mother told that protect the yogurt from crows, she means that one has to protect the yogurt no matter it is from crows or a cat or any other insect or any other bird. The point was to protect the yogurt. So therefore, this is upalakshana, means all other lakshanas are added in that word. Just like when the mother said, protect the yogurt from crows, that means all other living entities are added because the prime focus is to protect the yogurt. Similarly, here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that words ninda is being mentioned. The term ninda is an upalakshan because it automatically includes other aparadhas like envy, causing harm to a sadhu, etc. So doing all other activities, not just criticizing, not just vocalizing the criticism of that saintly person, but including all other things that may harm that sadhu. And that is being described in Skanda Puran. Hanti nindanti vaidveshti vaishvanam nadanti krudhyate yati ho harsham darshane patitani sat. These are the 6 types of offenses that a devotee causes one's downfall. To beat or kill a Vaishnava. Hanti, nindanti, we all know, criticize a Vaishnava. Vadveshti, even being hateful towards that Vaishnava. Vaishnavanam nabhidanti, not able to welcome that Vaishnava. Krudhyate, to show anger towards that Vaishnava. When that Vaishnava happens, we happens to see that Vaishnava. Yati no harshanam. Okay, we are not angry, but at the same time, we don't feel happiness upon seeing that Vaishnava. All this comes under the first namapara, that is satam ninda. I'm sorry. So this is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, that when it says satam ninda, and then that doesn't just mean the criticism, but it means all these facts of beating a Vaishnava, killing a Vaishnava, criticizing a Vaishnava, being hateful towards that Vaishnava, not able to welcome that Vaishnava, show anger towards that Vaishnava, or not to feel happiness upon seeing that Vaishnava. All these come under this word ninda. Therefore, it's an upalakshan. I hope I was able to make some sense. Now comes this verse, this satam ninda, why it is known as the grievous offense. It says, right, parama aparadham, because it's the greatest of all offense. So therefore, our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions it as mad elephant offense. Jati Vaishnava Parada Uthe Hati Mata Upadeba Chinde Tara Sukhi Jaya Pata Tate Mali Jatna Kori Kare Avarana Aparada Hastir Jache Nahaya Udgama. This is a mad or elephant offense. Hathi Matta, that elephant which is maddened. This is the Vaishnava Aparad. It is born when the mad elephant of Vaishnava Aparad is born. Then what happens? He mentions Upade bha chinde. It uproots or it tears into pieces this Bhakti Lata Bij. And Tara Sukhi Jai Pata. And every leaf of our Bhakti Lata creeper gets dried up. And as we mentioned earlier, that immediately it will not dry up, but eventually, once uprooted, it will dry up. Therefore, he says, Tate Mali, be a gardener. A practicing devotee is like a gardener. And what he does, Kori Kare Avarana, he protects, he covers that Bhakti Lata creeper by erecting a protective fence. And what is that fence? That is association of like-minded devotees. Association of sadhu is the fence by which we protect our Bhakti Lata so that the mad elephant doesn't enter into our garden and spoil our Bhakti Lata Bij. So that the mad elephant of Vaishnava Aparad cannot enter. Because if we are always in the association of like-minded devotees, in the association of sadhus, then those sadhus will remind us time and again if we have committed any aparad. Therefore, this association is very important. This is the mad elephant offense. Now we will come to this section, who is a sadhu. So the verse is Satam Ninda. Okay, Ninda we have discussed. What is meaning of Ninda? Now we will discuss who is a sadhu. Okay, so this is from the Shastras, who says that the persons having qualities such as compassion, non-envy, universal tolerance, they are all described as sadhus. If somebody asks you who is a sadhu, the very first thing will be one who chants the holy name, one who inspire you to chant the holy name, one who is non-envious, one who is very compassionate. All these godly qualities, if somebody possesses, is considered to be a sadhu, because they strictly follow Vaishnava Dharma. From this statement, one should not think that only blaspheming such sadhu is an offense. No, Padma Puran says, even a sinful person with all bad qualities, who lacks proper behavior, who is wicked, who is fallen, who is deceitful, is liberated if he takes shelter of the lotus feet of Govinda. So this is important. If somebody is under the shelter of the lotus feet of Govinda, and after that, if person becomes fallen, deceitful, or shows some improper behavior, even that person, even that devotee is considered to be a sadhu. To elaborate on this point, Harinam Chintamani, chapter 4, verse number 34 describes, Anyena sharane yadi dekhi durachara, tathapi se sadhu bali sevya sabhakara. Now this is important. If I see someone who has completely surrendered to Krishna, this is the key factor. If somebody has completely surrendered to Krishna, but behaving badly, I will still say that he is a sadhu and everyone should serve him. So he is also considered to be a sadhu if he is lacking all those good qualities. We all know from Bhagavad Gita, where it has been mentioned, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhav sadhureva samantavyas samyak vyasisto hi saha. That person who is bhajate mam ananya bhav, who does bhajan for Krishna with total dedication, but he is durachar, sudurachar, he said. he's committed any or behaved very badly or committed any abominable act, but still that person, if he is solely devoted to Krishna, is considered to be a sadhu. Why? Because he says, Shipram bhavati dharmatma, Shashwatam chanting nigachati, kaunteha pratijani, name bhakta pranishyati. Because Krishna himself says that because of my doing ananya bhajan, that devotee, though he has committed some forbidden act, but slowly and quickly he will develop that repentance in the heart, and because of which he becomes saintly. And I have told you, Arjuna, that you go and declare, Name Bhakta Pranashyati, that my devotee will never perish. So therefore, even that person who is doing some forbidden act, who is doing some sinful act, who is not behaving properly, or who is not having those godly qualities of being compassionate to others, is still considered a sadhu, provided he is at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, provided he is engaged in the bhajan of Lord Shri Krishna. So therefore, that person is also considered to be a sadhu. And committing offense against that person also comes under the category of Satam Ninda, comes under the category of Vaishnava Aparadha. Now we will see the rectification. Repenting and pleasing a Vaishnava, one has offended. So we will see this, that once if we have offended a Vaishnava, one must beg for forgiveness from that Vaishnava we have offended. Repentance is the actual atonement. One should think, I will fall at the feet of that sadhu and please him. So one should, if somebody has committed any offense towards that sadhu, one should immediately ask forgiveness. Otherwise, that bhakti lata creeper will eventually dry up. And how we can do that? When we fall at the lotus feet of that sadhu and try to please him. Sometimes it is not possible, then at least we can glorify him. At least we can please him. We can talk something good qualities about that sadhu. These are the ways by which we can ask forgiveness. Next, if that sadhu is not pleased, then that person who has committed that offense must continuously serve for many days in accordance with the sadhu's particular preference. This is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions, that sometimes our offenses are so grievous, so great that the sadhu is not happy. Even if we are pleasing that sadhu, even if we are glorifying that sadhu, but that sadhu doesn't get pleased, then what should one do? Then one person who has committed that offense should serve that sadhu for many days. And how that sadhu should be served? As per the sadhu's particular preference. That way that sadhu should be served. Devotees are saintly. They are sadhu, even if devoid of qualities such as mercy. So that we have already discussed by Harinam Chintamani. And it is needless to say, if such an ill-behaved person is devoted to the Lord, he is also known as sadhu according to Kaimutika Nyaya. So we have discussed in Harinam Chintamani words that a person who is not having those good qualities, but if surrendered to the Supreme Lord or is devoted to that bhajan of the Supreme Lord and engaged in that ananya bhajan, is considered to be a sadhu. Now, what is this Kaumutiki Nyaya that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions is, Kaumutiki Nyaya means suppose there are two persons, A and B. B is stronger than A. Okay. Means material body wise, B is stronger than A. So if any weight, any amount of weight is being carried by A, will definitely be carried by B, because B is stronger than him. This is Kaumutiki Nyaya. Means a person who doesn't have these good qualities, if he is considered to be a sadhu, then definitely a person who has all these good qualities is a particular sadhu. So therefore, a person who is an ill-behaved person is, if that person is devoted to the Lord, then he is also known as sadhu. This has to be understood. Now, due to supremely forgiving natures, some Mahabhagavat Vaishnavas do not become angry, even though a grievous offense to them have been committed. They don't become angry because they are of extremely forgiving nature. Nevertheless, for the offender's own purification, he should beg forgiveness by offering obeisances to Vaishnava and rendering service to him. We know the example of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni, that pastime. Ambarish Maharaj was such a Mahabhagavat Vaishnava that he didn't even become angry when Durvasa Muni wants to kill Ambarish Maharaj. Still, he was of such a forgiving nature. But ultimately, Durvasa Muni was not spared. Why? Because if that Vaishnava, if that Mahabhagavat Vaishnava doesn't become angry, Krishna becomes angry. Then Krishna intervenes and he becomes angry. Because the Vaishnavas, Krishna says that I am in the heart of that Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are in the heart of Krishna and Krishna is in the heart of the Vaishnavas. Therefore, Krishna becomes angry. And therefore, if that offender has to purify himself, he has to offer obeisances or serve that Vaishnava to get rid of that offense. Then finally it comes. Now, if the offense of that great soul is so grievous that it is not alleviated by any means, or that sadhu is not present, or that sadhu is not approachable, then what can we do? Then one should abandon all activities and endeavor for anything temporary and take full shelter of Nama Sankirtan. Should take full shelter of the holy name. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives this, do not directly jump to this fifth step. This is in the rare case, if that sadhu, we cannot have the association of that sadhu, then how can we serve him? How can we please him? So therefore, if that offense has been committed and it is so grievous that it is not elevated by any means, then one should take full shelter of holy name and continuously chant Krishna's holy name to get rid of this grievous offense. So, but again, do not jump directly to this step. The first step is repentance. That repentance should be there. One should serve that sadhu. One should please that sadhu. One should glorify that sadhu. And then, even if that sadhu has not been angry or not taken that offense, still for our purification, we should render service to him and we should try to get rid of that offense. And at all, if nothing is possible, then we should take full shelter of the holy name. So we'll stop here. This is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes about this Satam Ninda. So we have discussed about who is a sadhu, what do we mean by Ninda, what are the aparadas, how the aparadas uproot our Bhakti Lata creeper, and if it doesn't uproot, slowly and gradually the leaves will dry up. So therefore this Nam Aparad is the grievous of all, though we have discussed all the other three types. The fourth type of aparad we have not discussed, not the aparad, the fourth type of anartha we have not discussed, but this aparadota anartha is the grievous of all. So next, that is in the next session, next Friday, we'll try to cover other offenses also, like we'll not commit, but we'll cover those offenses, means we will cover that what are those offenses and how we can get rid of it. like the second offense, considering the demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to independent of the name of Lord Vishnu, and then Guru Aparad, and then the Shruti Shastra Ninda, committing aparad towards the Vedic literatures. All these 10 aparadhas that has been mentioned in Padma Puran, we'll go step by step in great detail, and then we will see its rectification also. So we will stop here. Thank you all so much. I know this subject matter, especially of Madhuri Akandamani, is in such a great detail that even I feel sometimes overwhelmed considering my position of just being a sadhaka, not even on the level of Kanishta, and studying this highest literature. But if we don't study, how we will know? And in bhakti, ignorance is not an excuse. If someone say, well, I was ignorant, therefore me committing any aparadh will not yield any fruits. Well, that's not the case in bhakti. If a child says, I was ignorant that this fire will burn me, that doesn't mean the fire will not burn the child. So ignorance is not excuse. So I know in all of your association, we are trying to study this Madhuri Akandamani so that we can have little knowledge of it. And as far as possible, we can knowingly, though we are committing anything, that can be stopped. Unknowingly, yes, something is committed, but knowingly we can be aware of, and we don't commit such impediments in our spiritual life. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, all the assembled Vaishnavas ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu bhaivacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Now we can take few questions, corrections, anything.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Very, very wonderful class, Mataji, as usual. And this we always speak about this Nama Prathas, and today we have elaborated on that. Didn't know that this much is there in this inside this Nama Pratha. So, and lastly, repenting to the Vaishnavas. In that, even if the Vaishnava has not took it as wrong, we have to go to them and we have to ask for forgiveness. Is that the understanding, Mataji?
Even that Vaishnava has not taken that offense, but still, because that's the nature of a Vaishnava, that he's so compassionate and he's so forgiving. But that doesn't mean that the offense has not committed. Offense has been committed, so the forgiveness should be asked for.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. So I just remembered in this regard of Mother Shachi was having made an aparadh to Advaita Acharya, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told that she has to get rid of that. And of which Advaita Acharya did not take that as an offense. So I just remembered of that.
He was forced to take the dust of the lotus feet of that Advaita Acharya. Yes. So even being a mother of a Lord, she was not spared of that offense. The position.
So Nitya Narasimha Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Such a heavy subject, Mataji, from the beginning till end. It is offenses. But my question is that, Mataji, like a sadhu or a pretending sannyasi, if he does disguise form and he still does the offenses, and in the slide you mentioned that still we need to forgive. This is something how to correlate, Mataji.
First of all, Prabhu, if that sadhu just pretends to be a sadhu and has not taken the shelter of Krishna, then yes, he is not a sadhu. Sadhu is one that even if he is committing sinful activities, but he has taken full shelter of Krishna. So if somebody has taken full shelter of Krishna, that should be considered to be a sadhu, irrespective of somebody's material or ill behavior. But if somebody is taken the shelter of Krishna, because in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, when devotees from Kuliya Gram used to come and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions 3 years continuously those devotees will ask, who is a Vaishnava? Who is a sadhu? And one time Mahaprabhu said that those who inspire others to chant, they are sadhu. Next time he said, those who continuously chant Krishna's name, they are sadhu. But the last time he said, or maybe the first time he said, that those who even chant once Krishna's name, they are considered to be a sadhu. Because one Krishna nam, sarva papashaya, can destroy all the sinful activities. Now comes that, yes, if such a person who has taken the shelter of Lord Shri Krishna and is on the position of any authority or is in the position of a sannyasi, has committed some activity, then we are no one. As a sadhaka devotee, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that as a sadhaka devotee, we have no right to say anything about him. Let that equation be between him, between his spiritual master and Krishna. Being a sadhaka devotee, we have no authority to criticize that Vaishnava.
Yeah, true, Mataji. Absolutely. And you said he should be surrendered to Krishna. How? Yeah, sadhaka level, but in front of seeing in front of eyes, and okay, I may be a sadhaka, but sitting in a what you say administrative positions in a bigger like some temple president or something, and it happens. So this even sadhaka, he may not be so well advanced, but he's seeing that. So still, he should close the eyes and he should not.
Still, he should not say, because he doesn't have the right to say anything. He doesn't have the right to say anything. So therefore, he should still have to be quiet. Otherwise, it will be an offense. Why unnecessary? We should become an instrument in somebody's hold down. Unnecessary. If
No,
we
it is
have to
necessary,
become
Mataji.
a,
It is necessary. No, when a person is doing,
yeah, the person is doing something and we have the authority to treat that person or to explain that person or to tell that person, then okay. But if we don't have the authority, if that person is on such a higher level, then we should not intervene. We should be quiet and we should not say anything ill about, because then the equation is between him, her, and their spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. Because we have no authority. We are on the sadhaka level and they are on to the higher level. So we have no authority at all. First comes the authority. If we have the authority, if we are mentoring somebody and that person has done something, yes, we have the full adhikar to correct that person. But if somebody is already on to the higher level, then we should not. We should not. That's the key point. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam yamai pashyanti. Taham na pranashyami sachanam pranashyati. Yomam pashyati sarvatra. We have to see that anything because of somebody has happened to me, it's because of Krishna. Because Krishna is the cause of all causes. So if we have no authority, we should not speak anything. If we have to speak, we can speak to his authority that, okay, I have seen such a such person doing such and such activity, which is not right. So if you have being the authority can correct that person, so I'm raising my voice in confidentiality, not in blaspheming, but in confidentiality, in uplifting that person. Our mind should not be of becoming envious of person. Our mind should be for the upliftment of that person. If we really want that that person has done something wrong and is on the higher authority, we can approach to his higher authority and tell, okay, this is what my vision is. This is what I have seen. But I cannot correct because my position is not such, but I really want the upliftment. I'm not being envious toward that. In confidentiality, if we share that, that is not an aparadh. But let the authority of that authority can handle. Hope
Yeah,
that is.
yes, Mataji. And the sadhaka also may wish that, okay, if he tried and if he didn't get satisfied, maybe he will move out from that
Yeah,
association?
then of course, moving out of any association is not an aparad, Prabhu. Is not an aparad. You cannot make the entire world happy. We cannot gel with everybody. So therefore, if some person we feel that no, they are some way harming my spiritual advancement, let me make a distance from them. Then distancing from that person is not an aparad, because we are not neither criticizing, neither harming, neither we are doing. But if we happen to see that person again, we can just say Hare Krishna. That's it. And then we can just maintain that distance. Maintaining that distance is not an aparad. Rather, it should be done. It's the discrimination that the sadhaka makes. Asat sanga tyaga a Vaishnavachar. This is a Vaishnavachar. If we find that somebody is doing some asat, let's make a distance. Let's keep our bhajan to our own self and focus on our spiritual advancement, rather than criticizing others or doing for others. If you have to become selfless, first be selfish for your own self. Protect your own bhajan first, and then think of others.
So, thank you, Mother. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So distancing from that person is not an aparad, because that we are doing to protect our own bhajan, which is okay, which is perfectly okay.
Thank you, Mother. Yeah. Yeah.
And one more thing, as you said, Prabhu, if we are raising anything about that person to that higher authority, make sure we want the upliftment. We are not doing it to put that person down again. We want to uplift that person, and that's why we are raising the voice. So that can be done, but let the authority handle. We have no position. If we don't have the authority, don't speak it.
Yeah, correct, Mother. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Very nice, Mataji. Very nice. So, like just how if a child does some mistakes, we have to go and complain to the parents so that they will take the necessary steps. That's how we have to tell to the higher authority of that person who can correct him. So, yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. And the lastly, you were saying that we have to keep a distance. So this one, I was having the same question in my mind. So because of this, if somewhere we are getting affected, then it's better to keep a distance. And I was having the guilt that whether I'm making some aparadha or what. So I think now I got a clear outside of. Thank you, Mataji. Parima
Instead
Mataji.
of doing that dosh kirtan of that person, maintain a distance.
Yeah, okay. Parima Mataji. Bhakti Sanga Japa Conference.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for this very heavy class. Mataji, it's a very heavy class. And my thing is that there are, like, of course, the 10 offenses we can by heart and we can remember them. But in the entire scripture, there are so many offenses. Honestly, at least for a person like me, I can forget them very easily. Of course, I don't say that I will end up doing all of them, but I might end up doing some of them by mistake. So I don't know what is the rectification for that, Mataji.
Nam. Take shelter of holy name. By which all the aparadas, seva aparad, dham aparad, everything will be mitigated. But if knowingly we are committing an offense, or we are doing any seva aparad knowingly, that we know that this is a seva aparad, but in the mind we are thinking, oh, anyway, all the aparadas are mitigated by chanting name. I will chant Krishna's name and I will be done with that aparad. Well, that aparad becomes a nam aparad.
Yes.
We are committing on the strength of chanting the holy name. So there is no rectification for nam aparad, but Harinam Chinta, this Hari Bhakti Vilas mentions, and that we will see at the end of the 10 aparadhas when we covered that what is the rectification.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much for giving us so much of, showering us with the mercy of the spiritual masters, and you are becoming the medium for that. So I'm thankful to you, Mataji. Danvat pranams to your service and your wonderful association. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, keep me also in your prayers so that I may be able to walk my talk. That's the biggest
Mataji,
feedback.
you always walk your talk. I know.
Mataji.
Knowing you do that, you are a wonderful devotee, and I have great respect for you, Mataji. You, Priti Vilasini Mataji.
Difference
I
between
mean, I cannot keep saying this all the time, but from my heart, I'm saying this. I have great respect for all devotees on this call. So my Dandavat pranams to everyone, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please pray for me.
Sure, Mataji, definitely.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you so much for such a nice class. But it was quite a heavy class, and I was doing a lot of introspection. So thank you so much. We need these wake-up calls. So thank you for detailing all of this. I don't have questions, Mataji, because this is not a place for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anitha.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Mataji, will you be sharing this PDF with us?
Yes, Mataji, this is all for you all only. Definitely
Okay.
sharing.
Okay.
You want me
Thank
to
you, sir.
share after every class or because it's
This PDF you can share with me, Mataji.
okay, because this all Madhuri Academy right from day one, it's all together. First shower, second shower. Now 99 slides.
Yeah, share the whole thing.
Okay, we'll share the whole
Yeah,
thing.
Mataji, share all
Yeah.
things. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Very, very much interesting topic. Yeah, Shomati Mataji.
So
Sorry.
heavy class, everybody say, and I can also say I agree with everyone. And I am so much respect whatever Mataji says on to you, Priti Vilasini Mataji, and all other Matajis. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
You are like our mother, Mataji, so please keep showering your blessings on us.
You already showered and blessed by
No,
Lord
Mataji,
Krishna.
right now I'm just repeating the showers of this Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. All his vrishtis,
Mataji, you are.
like showers.
Yeah, you just say you are so humble. That's why you are
No,
saying
Mataji, it's
that.
not humble. Seriously, this is from my
No.
bottom of my heart. I want to say this. I am just repeating the words of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, having zero realization of what I'm speaking.
No,
But I'm
Mataji.
just speaking so that while
Mataji,
speaking,
all
I'm
are.
like,
All of them.
Thank you.
But I really
Thank you.
respect you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. I think even in Chaitanya Bhagavata also yesterday, Adigadada Prabhuji, also he was mentioning somewhere that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that each of us, we have to pray for each other. So I don't correctly recollect that past time what was happening, but still Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that situation, he told that we have to pray for each other, not only you pray for me or I pray for you. So it means like only for you I can pray. You should also pray for me. So that's what you were also mentioning, Mataji. So
yes,
thank you so much.
we all should pray for each other.
Thank you, Mataji. So dear devotees, if no more questions, we can end the call here. With your permission, we'll end the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatrupeshe kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Her Grace Kirtida Sundari Mataji ki jai, Madhuri Akandamani ki jai.
Jai.
Chakravarti Thakur ki jai, all the Vaishnavas ki jai.